I just got back from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where I led a workshop around the Grand Teton region. We had an incredible group. We had an incredible time there, and I'm gonna cover more on that in just a few minutes. Now, I'm in this area multiple times a year typically, and I've been there in every single season, but by far my most favorite is the fall. The photos that you are seeing are a mix of some of my favorite photos I've ever taken prior to this trip. Most of them shot on a Leica, some of them on Sony, and some of them on film. This trip was my first time using the Hasselblad X2D II and this 35-100E lens, and in today's video, I want to tell you what I thought about it, both in terms of how I used the camera and in terms of the photos that came out of it. Now, I will say I'm getting pretty comfortable with this camera. While I was in Europe when I was shooting at the Matterhorn in the last video that I did, this camera was mostly a brand new experience to me. But now that it's been a couple of months that I've had this camera and I shot with it 8 straight days in Jackson Hole, I think I've gotten used to it enough now to give you some honest thoughts. The first thing that I want to talk about today is style. And I'm not talking about the style of this camera, I'm talking about your style. Because how you photograph will play a major role in the camera or cameras that you use. Like if you were to ask me what elements make up my style, I would break it into like 3 categories. The first would be composition. For me, my style, wider and tighter. I don't do any human eye composition. Everything is wider than we see or tighter than we see. When it comes to how we crop photos, everything has got a film negative equivalent. So all of my crops are gonna be 2x3, which is like a 35 millimeter, or it's gonna be like a square, a 1-to-1, whether that's like a 6x6, which is a square photo like in a Rolleiflex or a Hasselblad, or maybe a 6x7, but that's not very often. And finally, 4x5 crops, which are large format negatives. So all of my crops are gonna have a negative, like an actual photo negative equivalent, even though I'm cropping digitally. Like I don't do any other types of crops. And in terms of like abstract, typically my photos that are color, which is the majority of my work, are going to have 2 to 3 colors, and they're mostly gonna be earth tones. And from there, we could define all these subtleties that go into our subjects or our editing process. But from a high level, what I just shared is how I would define my style. With the X2D Mark II and the 35-100E lens, this really allowed me to shoot within the compositions of my style. So while it's a new camera to me, I'm not really doing new things with it. This 35-100, it let me shoot wider because it's the equivalent of like a 28 on the bottom end, and it let me shoot tighter, which at 100 is really about a 75. So really, I was either shooting like wide or I was shooting tight. I didn't really shoot much in between, a little bit, but not much, but I really stayed away from that 43-50 equivalent crop like our human eyes see. Now this camera has a 4:3 crop to it, like the sensor is not shaped like your typical full frame sensor. So I'm embracing a new crop. It's new to me, and I'm trying it out on these photos. I would love to know what you think about the photos in the gallery you're gonna be looking at and the photos you've been seeing here with that 4:3 crop. So that's a new thing for me. So now let's talk about the abstract part, the color. So being that I know what I'm looking for already, I really wasn't doing anything new with this camera. Like I was out hunting, but I wasn't hunting for anything new that would be specific to shooting with this Hasselblad X2D Mark II. In my last video, I had a photo and it had this book in it, this book right here. To photograph is to learn how to die. This book is by Tim Carpenter, and this book is basically going to state that every photograph is a small confrontation with time and mortality. Like to actually press the shutter button is to admit that that moment is gone forever. Photography helps us reconcile with what is, like the visible world, and what is not, like our inner longing, our imagination, and our eventual absence. And when you accept this truth in photography, you in fact start to live, because you've learned How to Die. I highly recommend this book. I'm gonna link it below so you can pick it up yourself. Every photo that I captured on this camera is now in the past, never more to be replicated in the same way ever again. Fall is a great time of year to reckon with this truth. And to make things more interesting while we were out there, we had clouds and we had a lot of rain. All of the guys and our one gal on the workshop made incredible photos. The ones you're seeing right now are just a selection of some of their work from the workshop and how they saw this moment, how they captured Jackson Hole and the Grand Tetons, and the few times that the mountains showed up, how they captured those mountains. And if you ever have any interest in coming on a trip with me and coming to a workshop that I'm leading, there is a link right below where you can join my mailing list and be the first to know whenever I announce the workshops for 2026, which I will be announcing fairly soon. And if you're watching this video like years down the road and you've somehow stumbled upon this old video, that mailing list is still gonna be current and relevant to future workshops. So just be sure to get on it. You can join it at that link right below. So now that I've mentioned style a little bit and I've talked about my personal pursuit and how I compose being wider and tighter, how I crop my photos in post to have a consistent look that can mix my film and my digital work, and how I'm out there hunting for certain types of colors, namely 2 or 3 colors in a scene and just full of earth tones, because that's my thing. And that's going to bring me now to the meat of this video, because if you were to put the photos from this Hasselblad X2D II with this gorgeous 35-100E lens, if you were to put these photos right next to the photos I shot on my Leica on this trip, and put those next to the photos I shot with my Sony on this trip, and put those photos next to the photos that I shot on my iPhone on this trip, I'm not quite sure you are going to be able to tell the difference. And I don't say that because of some limitations of your eyes. What I'm trying to ask here is what actually matters. And I really do mean that, what really matters? Is it the camera that makes the photo that matters the most, or is it just the photo itself that matters the most? How I edit just works, whether it's on a RAW file from this Hasselblad or literally any other brand of camera, including my phone that I'm working with. So again, I just ask, what actually and what really matters? Because I think I would have presented the same gallery in this set here, whether it was shot on this X2D II or whether it was shot on my Leica M11, or whether it was shot on a Sony a7R5, or honestly, whatever would have been in my hands in the moment, because I am hunting for the same thing, those photos that fit my style. And don't get me wrong, there are some fantastic reasons to use this camera in particular. One thing that blew me away was the IBIS. As somebody that uses film cameras and uses a Leica M11P, IBIS is very far from me. I've just become okay with the fact that I have to shoot at certain shutter speeds and just make it work. With this camera, I was so shook at how long I could do an exposure for and have a tack sharp photo that I made a short form video on it. I don't even make short forms. I actually made a reel because I was making photos at 3, 4, and even 8-second handheld exposures that were sharp. If you use this camera, you don't have to carry a tripod ever again. And that's pretty freaking amazing. But what I just described puts it in tool category. I would say the same thing about the resolution of this camera. I was using it literally as a binocular at one point, just looking through the lens and scanning the scene, looking for wildlife, because the resolution is that insane. 100 megapixels is no joke. Even though I was shooting at 100 millimeters, that equivalent of 75 millimeters on a full frame, because my style includes tighter than the human eye, I can push that as far as I want. And some of the photos in my gallery are pushed way beyond that 100 millimeter look. Some of this is cropped 2x, some of it 3x even, because there's so much room to crop. But again, what I'm describing is a tool thing. This is an awesome camera and lens. It's an incredible combo. Like, if you are looking for a tool like this, I don't think you're gonna find anything better. And it obviously just worked out great for me. But it worked out not because the camera and the lens are magical. It worked for me because I was out there chasing my style with this camera. And I think to land the plane here, if you can lock in your style, then the conversation becomes less about the cameras that you're using and more about chasing the moment that resonates the most with you. And that, at the end of the day, is really what matters. I hope this video resonated with you. I'm going to put that QR code right in the bottom corner so you can come look at the gallery that I've been describing, and it also includes all these photos you've been seeing here during this video. You can check it out for yourself and see if you can identify like the 3 or 4, can't remember, different cameras that I use to make this gallery. But whether you can or you can't, I would love to hear from you. So let me know in the comments what your experience was like just looking at the photos. Like, were you focused on the photo or were you thinking about the gear? I should have mentioned this earlier, but if this is your first time here, be sure to subscribe if this kind of video resonated with you. And whether you've been here through all 200 and something videos or your first time, if this video, again, resonated, be sure to give it a like. And of course, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.